we're going to do is now we're just going to go through the basics of design a study.
Okay.
Okay, so it's just the basics, and if you have any questions, you can let me know. Okay,
Okay.
it's just the basics. So because design a study is actually very practical in the sense that you have to practice it a lot, yeah,
Right.
instead of just the theory. But what we're going to go through first is the theory, and then we'll see like we'll do some practices after that. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So for design a study, right? There are a few general principles that you have to follow. So first of all, it should be ethical and practically feasible. Okay.
Right.
So I'm just going to send you some like of the key points whilst I'm talking to you about it. Okay.
Okay.
And secondly, each decision should be reported in enough detail for a competent researcher to carry it out. You understand?
Understood.
Okay, and decisions should be justified in the light of the research aim and likely constraints. Okay?
All right.
Alright, so now we'll go into like the mechanics of it all. Okay, so first of all, the design. So the issues that we have to consider are you looking for a difference between conditions or relationship between variables, and a cross-sectional comparison or a trend over time? Okay,
Right.
so I think when you're writing down the notes or whatever, it's easiest to actually draw a table. So the first column will be area, second will be issues, and then third will be choices or things to specify. Okay, so for the area, right, like now we're discussing design, so it's just design. And then for issues, maybe for design, you can actually summarize it into like verses. So maybe are you looking for difference between conditions or relationship between variables? So I know this is quite long, but you can try to summarize it as we go. Okay, so if you need me to slow down, okay, you can just let me know, or you need me to repeat anything, you can also let me know. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
Then the choices or things to specify for design, it's experimental or quasi-experimental, correlational, longitudinal. Okay, so these
Oh,
are the three categories that you have to specify. The
all
next
right.
one, yep. Okay, the next one is method. So the issue is how and where are you going to obtain the data? Okay. The things to specify are experiment, is it task performance, okay? Observation or content analysis, self-report, so questionnaire, interview, okay? Um, and the setting.
Right.
Variables and materials. What are you trying to measure? How will you measure it? Operational definitions. What tasks will be necessary and what materials will you need? Yeah. So all of these are actually very detailed, very specific. But if you think about it, it's actually quite simple, right?
Yeah. Actually, yeah.
Yeah, so
Right.
we're just breaking it down into like the simple categories, going through the mechanics of it all. But once you practice it enough, it's actually quite simple. Okay, so
Right.
variables, the things to specify, is it conceptual and operational definitions, experimental tasks, observation, um, questionnaire or interview schedule.
Okay.
Okay, and then for controls, it'll be what sort of problems could obscure the outcome of your study, and what will you do about it?
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
Oh, like for an example, like a use of a lab experiment to prevent like extraneous variables. So then we have to state like what type of extraneous variables, like an example of them.
yeah, so maybe you can look at like the things to specify to help you to understand this. So for example, controls would be like standardization, generic controls like random assignment, counterbalancing, and then specific controls.
Okay.
You understand?
Yeah.
Yeah. So procedure will be what will happen in the course of the study. Yeah, I think you are quite familiar with all of these, right? Because we actually have to go through them for each of the study that we learn anyway, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what will happen in the course of the study, in what order, how will conditions differ if experimental? Okay, and what you have to specify is the briefing, okay, and the collection of data.
Okay.
Sample, from whom or what will the data be gathered? Where will you get them or it from? Okay, and then things that you have to specify here would be like target population, sampling method, sampling procedure. Okay, so sampling method, maybe you can talk about opportunity or systematic, stratified, random, all of these. Okay.
Okay.
All right, and then hypothesis and analysis. Okay, what will you predict as the outcome? And what will you do with the data? Okay, and then how will the outcome be interpreted? So what you have to specify is like alternative, experimental, null, and then data analysis. So comparison of means, correlational analysis. Okay.
Miss,
Yeah.
how do you know like what hypothesis to use? Like what type of hypothesis to use?
I think we will actually try to practice this. Okay, so actually you can when we are practicing it, maybe you will get a better grasp of it. Yeah, so it really depends on like the question and all of that.
Okay.
Okay, and then ethics, how will you ensure that PPs are like participants, right? Are treated in an ethically acceptable manner, right? So things you have to specify are like informed consent, deception, risk of harm, privacy, confidentiality, and then generic and specific issues as well. Okay. All right. So yeah, so I want you to try to clean up your notes and then let me know if you have any questions. Okay.
All right, Miss. Okay.
All right.